Hashtag baseball only show. JML here. Frank over there. How's it going? I don't know. Something big happened last night. It's only in the banner. Something that we said when we started the show, it's not going to happen. So we
Right.
were actually wrong about something. Albert Pujols, 700 home runs. What do you think, Frank? Where did we go wrong?
I don't know, man. I forgot what the number was at when we started the show, but he wasn't really doing well. He wasn't like playing a lot. We were like, nah, I don't know. Maybe he'll have to come back next year to get it if he wanted it. And then, like a couple weeks ago, he went on this tear, and we're like, oh, okay, this is legit.
Yep.
And then I think last night, we're the Yankee game ends, and we're like, oh, well, Judge didn't hit one last night. But like 2 seconds later, I'm like, oh, there goes 699. And then I think a little while later, you tell me, and I didn't even see that he hit 700. So you tell me that, I'm like, oh, I missed it.
Yeah, he hit home runs, I think, like in consecutive innings.
Yeah,
What I did call was when I was like, if he doesn't hit, I was like, he's gonna hit 700 in LA.
yes, you did.
I was like, they're gonna storybook. The storybook is gonna be, he plays for St. Louis all these years. He went. Obviously, it's the Dodgers. I mean, he played a brief cup of coffee there last year, but he played for the Angels. So it's like kind of fitting that he hit
Sure.
700 in LA, where people wrote him off, and he's having this renaissance of a second half. It's
Yeah,
really odd because usually when someone goes into the home run derby, especially his age, you're like, all right, this is the
yeah.
last hurrah here. But it's almost as if he got his confidence back at the home run derby with all these guys being around him, asking for advice, and just like acknowledging how great his career has been.
Hmm.
It's almost like it reinvigorated him for this push to 700. You'll have conspiracy theorists out there saying, you know, the pitchers are just giving it to him. I don't know. Like, if you're a competitor, are you really going to go out there and just lollipop every single ball to someone for a record? I could see, when he hit 699, they're like, okay, well, let's groove number 700, kind of like Chan Ho Park in the All Star game to Cal Ripken Jr.
Hmm.
What's your thoughts on the conspiracy theories?
I don't know, man, because watching Judge this week, doesn't look like a lot of these guys are trying to lob anything to him.
No.
Except for maybe Rich Hill last night threw a couple of good pitches. But yeah, I don't know. Like you see both sides of it. Some people are like, oh, they don't want to be the one that gives it up. Then others like, well, it's history. I don't know
It's
if I
his.
buy too much into that stuff. They're competitors, like you said. I mean, the Dodgers obviously don't have much to play for anymore. They've locked everything up.
Yep,
Um,
they have.
so they're not going to fall below that number one seed. So they're pretty much set. They, like you said, they got some pride. So I don't think they're going to go out there and try to lose a game on purpose or give up something. But yeah, I don't know about that. But
Yeah, for
sometimes we
sure.
have to give good credit to this guy for, like you said, getting his confidence back, remembering who he is,
Yeah,
ending his career on a high note. But
yeah,
that's great. Most people don't get that chance to go out with a season like that. So kudos to him. What a career he's had. As we've talked before, great guy off the field, great
yeah. By
baseball
all
player.
accounts, I mean, we personally
So
don't know him,
yeah, we
but
personally don't know, but what we hear, nothing but great stories, which you love to see. Um, Makes it even better. Obviously, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know who would vote against him. I'm sure he won't be unanimous, but who's
there'll
gonna?
be one or two.
There'll be one or two morons, but he's got my vote. Not that it counts, but yeah,
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? We might
who
be
knows?
baseball writers at this point.
I mean, he's
Um,
only what? He's only the third player or fourth player. What is he? Hit 700.
he's the fourth player to hit
Fourth player to
700.
hit 700. I mean, it's not a big club.
Bonds, Aaron, Ruth, Pujols.
And will we ever see it
Obviously,
again?
A-Rod probably would have
Yeah,
been way over 700 had he not got suspended and some of the injuries later on in his career.
He finished just a couple, what, 6 short of
696.
696. Yeah, if they didn't, decide that year, they said you got to retire right now. He
You
probably
gotta
could hit
retire.
four. He probably could hit four more that season, I'm sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, will we ever see this again? I've heard that brought up. Who knows?
Who knows?
But
Some of it has to do with age. I mean,
yeah,
Albert,
came up pretty
by
young.
documented account, says he was
Allegedly.
21 when he started, but there is reports that he was actually 25 when it started, which would make him a 46-year-old man at this point, which
Even
makes
more
this
impressive.
season even a little bit more like unbelievable.
Yeah,
And it makes the decline that he had in the previous years, more in line of what someone 41 through 45 would do as a major league baseball player.
sure.
Um, his career and like as far as his numbers, he never hit 50 home runs in a season. He hit 49 in 2006. That was his career high. So when you want to talk about consistency and longevity, he definitely got there. It's really reminiscent of Henry Aaron more than anything. Like if you're gonna go down the periscope of comparing careers, it's more like the Hank Aaron trajectory than the Barry Bonds, where late in his career he became more of a home run hitter. What do you think there, Frank?
Yeah, I think you said it right there. That consistency to get to 700. It's not. You can't. He had a couple of his best years. There was not, this barrage of 60 home run seasons, which you don't see too much.
Yep.
So just the longevity, like you said, whatever his age may be, he's been, his rookie season was what, 2001. So I mean, yeah, that's a long time, especially these days in baseball. So, like I said, hats off to him.
Yep.
I
And
just
he came up. He
model
played third
consistency.
base his first
Yeah,
year. Um, first year and a half actually in the majors. No, first year and a half? No, first year. And then
first year for sure. He's a
McGuire
third.
retired. They shifted Pujols over to first,
Mm-hmm.
which made sense. And then
Sure.
the Cardinals ended up trading for Scott Rowland, who is probably going to be a Hall of Famer. He's been right on the cusp of the vote. I'll pull up Henry Aaron's numbers first so we can look at the career comparison. Give me a second. This is what we do on this show. We try to, show these comparisons. And what a
Sure.
So Henry Aaron burst on the scene. That's his career numbers. Obviously, with the hits, he's got Pujols, the home runs. His career WAR. But let's take a deep dive. Essentially, his rookie year was what it was, but it was age 20. So let's go age 21, and then just 27 homers, 26, 44, 30, 39, 40, 34, 45, 44, 24, 32. What's up games to games? 44, 39, 29, 44, 38, 47, 34, 40, 20, 12. And basically, he doesn't fall off a cliff until age 40. And he doesn't really fall off a cliff. He became 40, and it is what it is. Albert, career WAR, not near Henry Aaron, but who is? I've had this discussion that Hank Aaron might be the most underrated player in the history of baseball. But everything else, he's like there. RBIs, the slugging. 21 years old, comes out the gate, 37, 34, 43, 46. And then look at these batting averages. It's crazy.
Nuts, man.
So his career in St. Louis, the first part of his career in St. Louis, the first stint was crazy. Actually, his whole stint in St. Louis at this point is crazy. So in St. Louis, 466, 1287, 326 batting average, 417 on base, OPS 1030. That's amazing. Like, that's a hall of, like, if he only played 12 years in St. Louis and he didn't play the other 10 years of his career, he was still a Hall of Famer. Let that sink in.
A Hall of Famer at 31.
Yeah.
Legend.
He's got 3 MVPs, Rookie of the Year, the World Series. He has everything and then some. Games to games. If you're listening, if you're in chat, I don't know how big of a baseball fan you are, but do you want to give us any memories of Pujols or any statement? Ask the audience.
Sure. Take a look at that at the top two. Drafted in the 13th round.
Yep. Kansas City, Missouri. So, I mean, he played college ball really close. It's probably why the Cardinals drafted him. So they probably have scouts all over those small schools and saw this dude and we're like, man, this guy's a mutant. Like, yeah, I don't think we'll ever see 700 home runs. Like, that is just a huge number. Trout won't get there. I'm thinking of like anyone, like not even Judge could get there unless Judge is just going to smash 40 to 50 homers over the next 7-8 years.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. That's right. Maybe someone else will burst on the scene, come up, or someone that's already here.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Aaron Judge, 218 career homers through age 30 season. Like, he'd have to hit 500 home runs. He'd have to hit 50 homers over the next 10 seasons, average, to pass Pujols. That's insane. So you need the combination of like coming into the league around 20, 21, and then just be otherworldly consistent, at least with your power. So that's guys like Fernando Tatis, Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, these dudes that come up super young. If they're able to mash 35 to 40 homers for the next 15 to 18 years, then yeah, they can come close. The guy that I thought would be right up there with Pujols is Miguel Cabrera, but Miguel Cabrera has slowed down tremendously over the last 6 years. I think we discussed it previously on the show. He's fallen off a cliff. Fallen off. It's unfortunate. He's one of the best right-handed hitters I've ever seen. The last Triple Crown winner. But yeah, it's just, what's up, John Acoba? It's just John Acoba. Any fond memories of Pujols? Maybe you went to a game and he signed a ball for it. I don't know. Like,
I have seen Pujols live when he was with the Angels, but didn't get to see him hit a home run. If I don't recall at least. But just to see him coming to Yankee Stadium, I thought was really cool.
yeah,
Even
he's
then, I mean, the guy hit. I think the stats showed there he had hit 400 home runs in 10 years, like his
yeah,
first 10 years. It's
yeah,
nuts.
yeah. He hit 416 or something like that.
Yeah, and I
Eh,
never thought who would have thought he'd be like I said this last year. He's got 21
Yeah,
in his very last season back with St. Louis.
I
I
mean,
never
he was
thought he.
written off after
Yeah,
last year.
sure. And I never thought you'd see him back in St. Louis, or the Dodgers, anything like that. Obviously, now with the DH rule going, I'd always assumed he went, he went to the Angels. It would make his career last longer, and
That's
I guess
actually a
it
good
did.
point.
But at
The
the time, I
DH
think I
rule
said,
actually gave us this Pujols last hurrah because the only team that was going to probably sign him, the Cardinals,
sure,
and they already have Goldschmidt, so he would have got zero playing time. But because we have the DH in both leagues, it gave us this Pujols storyline this year. We wouldn't have gotten it had they still had the pitchers hitting the National League. And
another point for us.
yeah, we can give Manfred a lot of you know crap about things, but I'll tell you, when it comes to evolving the game, at least he's on board with that, with the shift being banned and the pitch clock and the DH rule. It it's gonna make the game better. Who wants to watch the shift? Pujols was a victim of the shift because he
Sure.
became really pull heavy during his last year or two in St. Louis, and that's why St. Louis really like they made the offer, but they didn't really, you know, want to go towards what the
Yeah,
Angels are offering. They saw the analytics, they saw the shift, and they're like, no, we're not gonna go through this. And I mean, he
smart move
literally
actually.
became, what's up, Major? He became a pull hitter, and being a pull hitter with the shift, forget it. Your batting average, he was 326 in St. Louis. I think he was like 260 as an Angel.
Yeah, it's not just decline like you said. It's literally just a victim of all the stuff we talked
Circumstance
about,
of the game.
stuff that we've discussed many times before. And there's another, like I said, here's another positive to these things that we've been on board with the whole time. A lot of people aren't, obviously. I understand that.
Yeah.
Um, at some point, you got to evolve the game,
You-
especially if you want to market it like we've discussed multiple times.
Yeah.
The evolution, and to market this to a younger audience, you can't have, I know people, there's gonna be a lot of baseball, purists. So, well, the pitcher has to hit because he's not like, why? Why does he have to hit? That would be like saying, I'll try to think of an analogy here. Well, imagine like, the punter had to like take the ball and run it down the field.
Yes.
They're like,
Well,
oh, you're a punter? Well, you got to be on the offensive line too.
also you got to remember they changed the hitting rule and the pitching
Sure.
rule for Otani as well.
Right. He gets a special rule.
Yeah, Pujols hit his 700th homer last night. He hit 699 and 700 last night. So,
It's pretty cool to do that.
and I said, this is what I said. I don't think they play any more games in St. Louis this year. I think this is it. He, I mean, it would be nice to see if he could finish, like, I don't know, on this hot streak. But I'd love to see him just retire, like come into the office today and go, I'm done. I think because our fondest memory is going to be, oh, this guy really finished on top. Really finished on top.
Yeah, you don't want to see. Oh well, he finished in the postseason and he struggled and they had to bench him.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
I
mean, I can
think
see that's the only thing I can see why he wouldn't do that is because he would like to play an
the
October game one more
postseason.
time here. But
Well, maybe they sent him the rest of their. I don't know.
yeah,
It's just
I
I
mean,
don't know.
obviously,
Like the shoe has to fall off eventually, right?
yeah,
Like I don't.
I'm sure
I've
they'll
never
leave it
seen
up to
anything
him.
like this. A player his age.
Yeah, I'm sure if he wants to keep going, they'll let him. But I guess we'll see about that.
They won't tell him no. Yeah.
He's wild stuff.
Isn't it Yadier and the Rainwrights last year as well? Like they're all
Mhm.
retiring.
Sure,
What a trio! What a trio! I'll be right back.
sure. So how's everybody doing out there? Yeah, very cool. 699 and 700 at the same night. I think back-to-back innings. So pretty wild. Um, obviously, we're coming up to the end of the season now, so there's a lot of cool storylines out there. I don't know. I'm just rambling to the camera.
You're rambling. um, yeah. I mean, it's really early. I don't expect too many people to come in, and I wanted to just do a live one because I'd rather just freestyle this than do a
Sure.
regular show. Um, when this goes back up on YouTube and you guys can watch it back, leave us some memories. Like my fondest memory is the National League Championship Series when he hit that homer off Brad Lidge.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, for sure. That's one of the things that pops right in your head. The just what a bomb that was
It
too.
was a bomb, and
And he
I
just
don't think
struts
Brad
off.
Lidge ever really recovered from that. Not saying he had bad season, but he definitely like his confidence and aura after that
Yeah,
home
his aura
run.
was definitely gone.
It was
And
definitely gone.
it's funny because they would still win that series the next game, but Houston. But yeah, his
Yep.
confidence. I'll never forget that game. I was watching it actually. I
Yep.
think yeah, the Astros were pretty close to winning. That was back before the Astros were on our list. I think Pettit had pitched that night or something like that. So I was kind of happy for him. And then Pujols comes up and just destroys his pitch.
That's crazy that Houston team ended up not winning the World Series, and somehow
Yeah,
that White Sox team,
they got swept.
yeah, somehow that White Sox team just like put it together and won.
Yeah, that might be one of the more incredible seasons. Just it didn't make any. Well, I shouldn't say it didn't make any sense, but the way they were just everything had to go right, and it did. They used like I think they
Scott
only used four
Podsednik, and
pitchers.
it was
Yeah,
just
it
didn't
was just
they had who was on that team? Konerko,
Canerco. Yeah, let's see who else was on that team.
El
I mean,
Duque.
yeah, El Duque was on there, pitched very well.
Of course he did.
Jose Contreras pitched very well, which was really fun for us Yankee fans.
Oh, that
I think that was that the year in the was the ALCS that they all the starters pitched like complete games or something like that.
yeah.
Ridiculous. It was just an incredible season. 2005 White Sox, yeah.
But we traded Contreras for Esteban Loaiza, and Esteban Loaiza, I think, is sitting in Mexican prison for drug trafficking.
Naturally. What a trade that was. A headache for a headache.
No, dude,
Oh,
it was
at least Contreras had something in his
Jermaine
career.
Dye, World Series MVP.
Yeah.
That's a name I haven't uttered in 10 years. He was a serviceable major league player too. I remember he played
Sure.
the Yankees that one year, and he fouled the ball right off his knee, and then he was out like the next year.
Mm-hmm.
That was a horrific injury.
Yeah, quite some interesting characters. That could be an episode of all of us one if we want to deep dive. Anybody, let us know if you want us to deep dive of the 2005 White Sox.
2005.
There's quite a few videos out there on the YouTube I've seen, about that team. It's just So interesting. Obviously, Ozzie Guillen, wild manager. I think I remember if to bring it to our other programs, they had after that series, they had several members of the White Sox show up
Oh,
in
holy.
in a wrestling match. We had
Wow.
Ozzie Guillen. We had one of them.
Wow. What a cast of characters on this team.
Yeah,
Scott Pisednik, he was a character. What's up? God is great. Aguchi, Carl Everett, who was the most mercurial player in the history of baseball. Konerko, who's like even kill. Jermaine Dye, Aaron Rowan. AJ Brzezinski, we know, was
Brzezinski,
just wild. Joe Creedy. I haven't uttered that name in years. Joe Creedy. And then Wataribe, who like played for so many different teams, but he had a really long major league career. Um, that was some of their position players. Timo Perez. Oh my god!
it
Wow.
was like a who's who of like what's the term I could put this like pretty good players that you remember them.
Freddie Garcia.
Freddie Garcia was on that team. Yeah, no, Jenks was the closer.
Jenks was pretty
Yeah,
nasty too for a
yeah.
couple of years. Wow. El Duque. That had to be like. Hold on a second here.
However
That
old
was
he
his
was at
only
the time,
year in Chicago. They won the World Series.
he had a pretty charmed career.
Oh, then he got traded for Javier Vasquez because Arizona had Javier Vasquez, and then
Mhm.
Vasquez once again switched. Every time Vasquez went to the American League, he got lit up. The Yankees traded for
Yeah,
him. Cashman traded for him twice.
twice for some reason.
Twice.
Didn't
Oh
learn the lesson the first time.
God.
If we had a show at the time, we would have both been screaming when that trade was made the second time.
El Duque, four-time World Series champion,
Yeah,
ALCS MVP.
nice little career he had.
I think he was like 60 years old when he was
He probably
pitching, to be
was at
honest
that
with you,
point.
too.
But I mean, like just a sensation when he came to the Yankees.
And then he had a cup of coffee with the Mets, and he had like the weirdest injury. And the Mets were really relying on him. And why would you rely on El Duque at that point?
Great postseason pitcher though. He always pitched well. He was even on that 2004 Yankees team, believe it or not. For a lot of people don't realize he came back. The
yeah.
year before he's with the White Sox, he was with the Yankees. He actually, I believe, he started Game 4 against the Red Sox and would have won the game had
So
Dave
El
Roberts.
Duque had a disputed birth year. When Hernandez signed with the Yankees in 1998, he claimed to have been born in 1969. So it would have made him about 29 years old.
Yeah,
In 1999, The Smoking Gun published his divorce decree from Cuba, document which had surfaced in connection with a child support case brought by his ex-wife revealed him to have been born in 1965.
jeez. So that would have made him.
4 years. So it would have made him 33 when he debuted with the Yankees.
I believe it.
5 years, so 2003 would have been 30. So he was like pitching into his 40s. It's crazy. Wow. Can you imagine if we would have got like El Duque at age 20? Dude would have been the best pitcher in baseball. The guy was nasty.
How did we get here?
Well, I think
Not sure how we got here, guys, but we're talking about the 2005 White Sox. We were bringing back the Pujols.
yeah, Albert
Pretty cool.
Pujols, great career, great man by all accounts.
You know, he had that. I was going to say, the only other memory I could think of is that one World Series game. I think the second World Series he was, and he hit
Against
3
the
home runs
Rangers.
in one game. Yeah, he hit like 3 home runs in one
Yep,
game.
he hit 3 home runs in a game.
Yeah, he was.
You know what I remember about that's Nelson Cruz botching that World Series
Oh,
for
yeah. Wow.
it. I don't understand. And you know what? Think about that. It was I think he screwed up in St. Louis. The ball had they been playing under current rules, he would have been DHing, and that play wouldn't have happened. They would have had like an actual decent outfielder out there.
Yeah,
So
we would have been
again,
talking
like
about
who
the
wants to
Texas
watch
Rangers.
bad baseball, like bad defense, because you got to stick a guy in the outfield who
Yeah,
doesn't play the outfield normally.
that's a really tough way to lose a World Series.
Yeah.
Like the minute I remember watching the game, the minute that ball was hit, oh, the game's over. Like, I mean, maybe it's not. Some people said, well, it wasn't that easy of a play. I said, but come on, that's a play that has to be made. It's the last out of a World Series.
So bad.
I mean, we talk
Like,
about poor Bill Buckner, but come on, that's like
and it's
it's an
funny
easy play.
because no one brings up Nelson Cruz like they do Bill
Yeah,
Buckner. So I
and
have
it's
a
worse because it was the game was over. But like people forget about Buckner. The game was actually tied by that point.
in 1997. Um, I went to a at the time my parents lived in California. I'd spend the summer with my mom, stepfather, and we went to a. My mom didn't go. It was just me and my stepfather. We went to an Angels White Sox game. And I was able to, go down and before the game and watch batting practice. And Bill Buckner was the first base coach for the White Sox, and he was signing autographs. And he was a really nice man. He signed my ball, but before I tossed him the ball, some guy next to me was like, "Billy, make sure you catch that ball." And can you imagine? Can you imagine how many
Dude.
times he had to deal with that throughout
Yeah,
his play? His post playing career,
sure.
even his playing career. Um, that's awful. I was mortified as a kid, and I was 11, 12 years old at the time. But I I was very astute about the game of baseball, and I was like, oh,
Disrespectful.
I was like, it's the guy who obviously didn't make the play at first base. But man, that's awful. Like treat a human being like that.
Yeah, and from all accounts, he was a very nice guy. Most people said he never really complained about that. He would show up at all these events
Well,
with
essentially,
these.
the Red Sox, like it was like he was not welcome back for so
Yeah,
many years. Like they put the loss
on him
entirely on
only.
him.
And that wasn't right at all.
It
It
wasn't. People think that that play
ended
ended
the
the
series.
series.
It did not.
It didn't. They played a whole nother game and lost.
They got blown out in Game 7. I mean, you got to think about that. Or the fact, like I said, that was a tie game. The Red
Yeah.
Sox had a 2-run lead with 2 outs, the extra innings. They blew that before that even happened. It should be on the pitcher more than anything else. He threw like 3 wild pitches, something ridiculous. And this poor guy's got that on
Yeah.
him, but he never complained about it.
No. Rest in peace too. I mean, he died
Um,
pretty young. I mean, he was
yeah,
only 69 years old. He had dementia, and stress and everything. Like it probably ate him alive.
sure. And he was a really good player too. And it's sad that. But like I said, I, he had to deal with that all the time. So for a fan to say that, I couldn't do that. That's one thing if you say that, you joke about that when you're watching on TV. We don't say that to somebody's face like that.
And I'm sure that wasn't the only fan that ever said anything to him.
Yeah, he did he would do like cameos and TV shows and stuff playing off of that. I remember he was on Curb Your Enthusiasm a while back. They had a whole episode where Larry David surrounded around. He brought him to this Red Sox fans party,
Yep.
and then he threw him a ball and it went flying out the window. He had a sense of humor about it. I respected him for that. But yeah, I mean, Nelson Cruz doesn't get any of the people just talk about Nelson Cruz being this ageless hitter, but he literally cost a World Series title, which
Yeah.
would have been Texas's only World Series, as they've still not won one. But Jeez. And they probably should have. Those Rangers teams are really good. The fact that they lost 2 straight,
Yep.
the way they did, and I think they were both the better team in both those cases. But that's baseball.
Yeah, for real. Um, yeah, he was the hitting coach
Okay.
for the White Sox, and I'm trying to remember here. I believe after I went to the game, it was not even like a week or so later, he had stepped down as the
Mm.
White Sox hitting coach. So it was oddly enough that happened. But yeah, let us know in the comments. Albert Pujols, fondest memory. Congrats to him. Certainly one of the best players of this generation, if not the best. Some people will say it's not this generation. He's the prior generation, which, okay. And it's crazy that Trout has played with Pujols and Ohtani, and they were all on the same team at one time.
And yet,
And all three MVPs.
yeah, and yet
Has
they
there
had
ever been
one
a team
playoff.
where they've had three MVPs on the same team? Probably has. Probably one of the Yankee teams, like Gehrig, Ruth, Lazari, maybe.
It's just never was in the cards for them, sadly. Poor Trout, right? All these years, he had one playoff series, and they didn't win a game in it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off. Thank you for those who joined the live stream. You'll catch this back as a replay. Good night. Good luck. Farewell. And when Judge hits 700, we'll be back. When he hits 700, when he hits 61 and 62, however he does it, we'll be back.
One way or another.
Thank you.